London. The moment Jin of BTS stepped onto the forecourt of the O2 Arena, time seemed to freeze. Under the heavy London sky, thousands of voices rose in perfect unison, breaking through the dense silence of anticipation with a deafening roar. A question quickly echoed across international fan communities. What exactly did ARMY do that left one of the world's most iconic performers visibly trembling and speechless? The scene unfolded like an orchestrated miracle. Without any official cue or prior announcement, ARMY, BTS's loyal global fandom, delivered what many are now calling the most emotionally charged welcome in K-pop history. As Jin emerged from his vehicle and caught sight of the wave of banners, synchronized chants, and tear-streaked faces, his steps faltered. Cameras caught the exact second his composure cracked, eyes wide and unblinking, then filled with tears. But this was no ordinary fan greeting. What stunned observers and even media outlets on site was the unprecedented scale and emotional intelligence behind the entire reception. Every visual, sound, and movement had been crafted with precision. Across the square, fans held coordinated placards spelling out, "We waited. You came." A phrase that had gone viral within minutes. In the center, an enormous digital banner flickered above the crowd with rotating messages in Korean and English. "Jin, you're home. Not a day passed without us thinking of you. This moment is ours." What prompted this outpouring of emotion? Why was Jin, known for his calm composure and reserved dignity, even seen covering his face as he bowed toward the crowd, visibly shaken? The answer lies not just in the numbers, but in the years of anticipation, the silence, and the unresolved emotions ARMY had carried with them during Jin's military service and beyond. His long-awaited return to the international stage was already a moment of seismic proportions, but what ARMY delivered transcended even the wildest expectations of fans or industry insiders. The O2 Arena, one of the most prestigious concert venues in the United Kingdom, had never witnessed a reception quite like this for an Asian solo artist. Weeks before the event, ticket sales had already broken internal records. But it wasn't just about filling seats. It was about turning the space into a living tribute to Jin. From the queue lines outside, decorated with origami lilies and handwritten letters, to the flash mob of fans wearing identical "Tonight, we shine with Jin" jackets, the entire environment had been transformed into an immersive emotional landscape. And still, the most shocking detail hadn't yet emerged. According to eyewitness accounts, moments before Jin arrived, a sudden silence had swept the entire arena exterior. It was as if thousands instinctively knew he was near. Then, without a single command, the entire mass of ARMY began singing "The Astronaut" in perfect harmony, Jin's solo single that had once comforted them during his absence. The voices were not merely loud, they were unified, trembling with sincerity, each note carrying the weight of years without him. By the time Jin stepped out and heard his own lyrics being offered back to him by a sea of trembling voices, his knees visibly buckled. Why did this moment hit differently? Because it wasn't orchestrated by a label. It wasn't dictated by an entertainment agency. It was ARMY organic, devoted, raw. It was a message, not just of admiration, but of shared survival. Some fans in the front rows were seen clutching signs that read, "You gave us strength. Let us give it back." One particular sign, hand-painted and laminated, simply said, "We never moved on. We waited." Industry observers were quick to note that such spontaneous and deeply human gestures have rarely, if ever, been witnessed at this scale. This wasn't fandom, one European journalist stated live on air. This was collective healing. Another added, "If this is how ARMY welcomes Jin, one can only imagine what will happen once the concert begins." And yet, the moment didn't pass with just fanfare. Jin's response has since sparked international discourse. During a brief of Mick moment turut by Sherpa fans, he was offered saying in Korean, "Ini terlalu indah, aku tak bisa percaya ini nyata." Translated, "This is too beautiful. I can't believe this is real." This phrase, 6 simple words, now trends in multiple languages across platforms. Hashtag #TooBeautiful has overtaken Twitter/X and TikTok in multiple countries, while fan essays and video compilations under the title "We Made Jin Cry" flood every corner of the internet. One might ask, what does this tell us about the state of fan-artist relationships in 2025? What happens when a global fandom refuses to let the flame die and instead fuels it quietly, patiently, for years? The answer played out at the O2 Arena, unfiltered, unedited, unplanned. What remains most haunting about the night is that Jin didn't give a speech. He didn't grab a mic or attempt to calm the hysteria. Instead, he stood still, watching, absorbing, breaking. And for long minutes, he simply allowed the tears to fall, his hand repeatedly placed over his heart. What exactly passed between Jin and ARMY in those minutes may never be captured fully by any lens or retelling. But it was clear something was resolved there. Something unspoken. Something overdue. Observers from across Europe and Asia were quick to comment on the depth of this interaction. "This is not celebrity worship," one cultural critic in London posted. "This is memory made physical. This is what happens when years of longing collide with gratitude." From Seoul to Sao Paulo, fans joined digital live streams and Weverse threads, many typing through their own tears. The line most repeated in global chats? "He saw us. Finally, he saw us." And perhaps that is the story in its purest form. After years of distance, duty, and disruption, Jin didn't just return to the stage. He returned to the people. Not through press releases or commercial campaigns, but through a raw, unscripted moment in London where history, heartbreak, and healing converged in one singular, unforgettable point for many. This wasn't the beginning of a concert. It was the closing of an emotional chapter. As the crowd slowly dispersed hours later, many still in tears, some silently sitting on the cold pavement, not ready to let go. One could still hear whispers. "Did he see my sign? Did he know we meant every word?" And perhaps the most repeated, "He cried. That means he felt it." Now the world watches, breath held, as the next stage begins. But what happened outside the O2 Arena will not be forgotten. Not by those who stood there. Not by Jin. And certainly not by history. Because sometimes the loudest declarations are made without words, and Jin's silent tears were the loudest answer of all. In the wake of the emotional eruption outside the O2 Arena, where Jin of BTS was seen visibly moved, some say even in tears, one pressing question must now be raised. Did this event truly unfold the way it is being portrayed? Or are we collectively surrendering to a narrative shaped by emotion, virality, and digital illusion? As dramatic as the moment appeared, it's crucial to dissect the elements at play. Are we witnessing an authentic connection between an artist and his global fan base? Or are we consuming a meticulously constructed spectacle, designed, consciously or not, to generate mass appeal and media frenzy? The internet has since exploded with videos, short clips, fan-edited reels, and captions that repeat the same sentiment. He cried because of us. But is that what truly happened? Or is that what we want to believe? Every angle, every frame, every whispered fan chant uploaded to platforms like TikTok, Twitter, X, and YouTube must be examined not only for what they show, but for what they exclude. Who curated these visuals? Which moments were chosen and which were omitted? Can a 1-minute clip of Jin placing his hand on his chest, without audio context, be universally interpreted as gratitude? Or might it be fatigue, shock, or even discomfort? When we see tears, do we truly know the reason behind them? The sobering truth is that the emotional power of such a moment, whether real or constructed, has the capacity to shape millions of perceptions instantly. But that power is also dangerous when left unexamined. As we scroll through emotionally charged footage and glowing commentary, we must pause and ask, is this event a documented fact, or is it a constructed collective illusion? Were the fans truly there in silence before singing in unison, or was that narrative embellished after the fact to enhance emotional value? Were Jin's expressions spontaneous and unrehearsed, or were they unconsciously magnified by years of anticipation, personal pressure, and stage expectations? If this moment was, in fact, coordinated, either partially or fully, by internal teams or strategic media handlers, would we even be able to tell? And if we could, would we want to know? Or has the global fan culture reached a point where emotion outweighs truth? It is no secret that viral moments now dictate relevance. An artist's visibility often hinges not on their artistry alone, but on their ability to evoke emotional response, preferably one that fits within a tight frame of a smartphone screen. So we must ask, did Jin's arrival spark genuine tears because of the emotional reunion? Or did our own expectations manufacture the moment before it ever truly existed? To be clear, this is not to suggest malintent. Rather, it is an invitation to interrogate the structure of modern fan experiences. In an age where fandoms function like decentralized media networks capable of broadcasting curated emotions at the speed of light, distinguishing between authentic reaction and amplified narrative becomes nearly impossible. Let's consider this. Would the same story hold if no cameras were present? If Jin had walked into the venue with no one to record his reaction, would we still claim he was overwhelmed by emotion? Or has the lens itself become a necessary part of the performance? Thousands of fans who posted from the scene offered real-time footage and emotional commentary, but these fragments rarely include full, unedited sequences. The scene where ARMY began singing The Astronaut, was it truly spontaneous, or a previously organized fan project circulated in closed chat groups and fan-based coordinations? Is it wrong if it was organized? Not necessarily. But honesty about such coordination would shift the tone of the entire narrative from miraculous to intentional, and that is a very different story. Have we, as global audiences, lost the ability to differentiate between raw authenticity and collectively orchestrated catharsis? In light of these questions, readers and viewers must remain cautious, not cynical, but deliberately skeptical. We live in a media ecosystem where virality often masquerades as truth, and emotional storytelling frequently overshadows evidence. The stories we choose to believe shape not only our perceptions of celebrities like Jin, but also our cultural memory, our emotional investments, and ultimately, our understanding of what is real. To be fair, the emotional power of the moment, constructed or not, cannot be dismissed entirely. Emotions felt by fans were real, but should sincerity of feeling be mistaken for confirmation of fact? Let's press deeper. If this entire moment had been pre-rehearsed, would it diminish its impact? Or does emotional resonance justify every constructed detail? And if so, where do we draw the line between performance and reality? These questions aren't meant to accuse, but to awaken. In the digital age, where truth is fragmented and sentiment is monetized, emotional events like Jin's arrival must be examined with both reverence and scrutiny. Moreover, consider the role of the platforms where this story gained traction. TikTok and YouTube thrive on emotional virality. Algorithms prioritize videos that spark outrage, tears, joy. But do these platforms reward the full truth, or only the fragments most likely to generate engagement? What stories are not being told because they do not fit the emotional arc that fans crave? Finally, we must acknowledge one sobering truth. The information we report here is sourced from various forms of user-generated content and public media. While powerful, these sources are not infallible. They reflect the emotional interpretations of thousands, but not necessarily an objective truth. Therefore, as readers, you must decide, was this a sacred reunion between an artist and his fans, or a masterstroke of participatory spectacle? Were those tears the overflow of human connection, or the product of years of emotional conditioning magnified by digital exposure? Are you convinced that what you saw was real, or are you now unsure? Your answers matter, in an era where illusion can wear the face of truth. Skepticism is no longer optional. It is a responsibility. Let us not be passive consumers of virality. Let us be active participants in questioning it, because if we do not, who will?